So here we have like a VW Amarok. Now these are all going to be the same from 2011 to around 2016, 2017. They can have a different head unit, but it's basically like the fascia, like around the outside, is going to look like this. So you can check what options this head unit has. Obviously, you've got the radio. We've got our steering wheel controls on both sides there. A nav, which is pretty like basic. Obviously, media, stand-up phone. And then obviously going to reverse, you've got your reverse camera and your sensors coming up there. That just sort of shows you all the factory options there. So the screen's almost too small on these. It's a bit of a pain when using the live reverse camera, so the updated head unit will be good. That's about all the factory options we have on this model. So we'll go ahead and put the Vhedia head unit in. So this is all the gear that obviously comes in the kit. It does look quite like a bit, but I'll explain it to you and it'll sort of make sense. Obviously, main unit, fairly straightforward, full 9-inch touchscreen. That's it there. In the back there, that's our main 20-pin plug and our auxiliary plugs. Our Wi-Fi antenna, our GPS antenna, and the radio antenna. That's basically the main unit. Then we'll cover, you get two harnesses in there. Majority of the ones in Australia are going to use this one here. It's got the CAN bus one on it. The other one looks like this. If you do use the other one, no, you shouldn't have to use this one. So you'll be using the one that's sort of hooked up. The other one's there just in case. So you got a CAN bus box in it, so that allows the head unit to talk to the car. Obviously, 20-pin plug goes in the back of our main head unit. Auxiliary to keep the factory auxiliary port working. That's about it on there. Then we've got this other one, because on VW you have to have a decoder box and some of the factory reverse cameras. So if you have a factory reverse camera, you'll be using this one, and that's the plug for it. And this will go into our cam in on our head unit. I will explain it to you though. If you didn't have a factory reverse camera, we include a 1080p color reverse camera in the kit, which comes in all the kits. So you can use it. If you have the factory reverse camera, you can just use it as a secondary camera if you want to, or do whatever you like need with it. So that's the camera there. Camera works fairly straightforward. If you we'll cover the aftermarket camera in a bit. External mic. The system seems to work pretty good with just the internal mic at the moment, so you don't have to put this in. You can make a call with it and test both ways if you want before you actually go and put it back in, but they seem to work quite well with that at the moment. Wi-Fi antenna. This can just stay hanging floating at the back. Obviously GPS on the actual unit itself. Third USB port. Just plugs into the back of the auxiliary in the back of the head unit. Two USB ports in the external mic port. This here is for the camera input. So you got the purple one's the one you'll be using for the reverse camera, and you can have a second camera hooked up too. Auxiliary in, probably not using this unless you're using a caravan camera with a microphone or something. Pre-outs, again, probably not using, and luckily you're going to use an aftermarket speaker kit with an amp. Factory USB retention. Factory radio antenna retention. In here we have a USB you can use to run updates when we release them. And this is just an SPL connector that we use for the rear camera if you're using the aftermarket camera. Scan tool, OBD to Bluetooth scan tool, trim removal tools. So that's the complete kit. Alright, so the first up we're just going to take out the old unit here. there's a few things. These got to come off, there's some screws behind them, and then this top plate has to come off. So if you grab the trim like removal tools that are in your kit, you could just push it into the side of these, go around it, and it'll pop off fairly easy. You can see there's a hex screw in there. Same on this other side. So those two will be coming off. Then you've got this top one as well. It's like to use a bit of tape when you're levering down. Sometimes can be handy, so you don't leave any like marks. But basically, you just want to go around and pop under here. So what you want to do is you want to push down a bit on the plastic first to get it to pop up. So you can see like that, so it's come up like that, and then we'll go to the far side here, same thing, and that pops out like that. This is a little plug here for your cigarette plug on top. Sorry, might have missed that a bit there. I had the camera down a bit low, but we're just basically like popping in the back here. So if you start on like this side and work your way like along, you gotta like push this in a bit and pop it out. I just use a bit of tape to like back onto here where I'm pushing onto, so we don't make any marks in the plastic. But these are soft trim removal tools anyway, so you should be okay. Then we unplug, that plug goes in the top, and then you can see you've got two hex screws in there as well. So we'll be taking out of those two and these two. So these four screws that are coming out are a T20s, so normally have one of those floating in a screwdriver set these days or something. So just take all those out, just the four of them. So that's what it is there. So they're out. The tops and bottoms are the same sizes there, so you don't have to worry about that too much. So the two main clips are actually on the top here. So if you just give it a tug on each side in here, and you'll feel those two will pop out, and then just keep tugging and you'll get these others out. Like that. Just takes a few like tugs and jerks like that. Just don't go too hard, just I keep like tugging and it will come off. It normally just takes a few. So that's basically everything there. So there's a few switches on here that just can be unplugged. So once you come into it here, you can just unplug these free from the top. They've just got little push down buttons on them. You can't go too wrong putting them back in because obviously they all are color coded here. And you just push down the clip here on top and pull back. That's all out. Then we're going to take out these four screws again, and that'll get us the old head unit all the way out. So again, T20 is your same size. Take out those. Obviously don't confuse them with the other four you took out earlier because these are a lot shorter. Alright, so it's pretty straightforward to get it out, like these cars normally are. Model cars anyway. If you grab that head unit, the whole thing's going to slide out, and then in the back here you're going to have a few plugs. I'll just show you. The only one that's a bit different is that white one there you can see. Hopefully just there. That needs that white clip. you slide that back like along and then pull it out, and the rest just have push down tabs on them. So I will show you that in a second, and I will also show you my main plug, because that's cam lock sort of as well. Which they are quite a good system. So there's the old unit there. There's at the back of it. I'll just show you these plugs just because they are a little bit different. So your like white one here, your antennas, you have to pull that clip here backwards, that little like white clip, and then you can pull it out. This one's fairly straightforward. The blue one, just got to push on the, I'll pull the white tab out again, sorry, it's the same as the other one. This one here, you slide that back and just like it pops out. And this one here has a cam lock type thing on it as well. You just have to push down and pull it up like that, and it will like pop out. So that's all your like plugs there. So we're going to get the Vhedia like unit and test that it all works. So the next first thing we do is just do like a test just to see if it's all going to work. So we grab our like main adapter kit with the CAN bus on it here. Line this up and you're going to plug it in. So that just goes in like that. And you have to lift the cam little thing up a bit normally, and then push that cam down. Hopefully you can see, sorry. Push that cam down, it clips in. The other one is if you have like a factory like reverse camera. You're going to grab this one. Again, it's a cam type 1. Put it up the right way, and it's going to go in and clip in like that. It's not going to clip in. Sorry, it goes backwards. Clip up backwards there. So that's that and that. Then we'll just get the radio and we'll couple the radio antenna in. Currently we just have a single one in our kit. These do run a dual antenna. I think they have antennas in both, or wing mirrors maybe. So we will actually look at grabbing a different one for our kit in like the future. Seems to work fine with a single one, but that's always handy to have. This blue one here will be the factory like GPS, so we don't need to worry about that anymore. Grab our head unit. Obviously there's one plug I'm missing, so I just wanted to grab this plug here, which is our camera input, which is going to go into here, because if we do our test we want to make sure obviously our camera's working. Alrighty, so then these two, again, if you've got a factory reverse camera, they're going to plug together, fairly straightforward. Plug those into there. This one here is going to plug coming out of this second orange box here. It's going to plug into the purple cam in. The radio antenna is going to go into like a radio antenna one, and this one's going to go into our main one. So we plug all those in. So we're basically just doing this because what we want to actually do is we want to make sure everything's as it should be before we go and install it. That and that, and the only one we're missing, the radio one I already put in, so you can just tuck them back in, sit it in there, throw the keys in the car, and just turn the car on. So I've just turned the car on to like full ACC there. You can see it's a good sign, head unit's like powered up. Let's jump around the driver's side. You can see it's telling me the door's open, so we know it's communicating to the car okay. Straight away I'm pushing the steering wheel control button. That's like working. Check we have sound, so we can just go to like a radio, scan. Awesome, sounds working well. Sounds better than the factory unit already because these have a DSP chip in them. So we've got steering wheel controls, we've got sound, we've got like a radio reception. The only other thing we just want to check is obviously into reverse. And the tailgate is down, blocking half of it. But you can see I'm moving the wheel. We are picking up everything we should be. And I'm picking up our reverse sensors, which are coming up there because the tailgate's down. Obviously, again, you can turn off the second line here, or you can keep with the factory one. So that's just showing you that there. So that's basically everything like working as it should be. So we can go back and put the head unit in like now. Some people have said like if you have like the hazard unplugged and you start the car up, you might get a check engine light. That's fine. Once you plug it back in and start the car up again, what's going to happen is after a few minutes the car, like the ECU checks 3 times normally, and it'll be like, okay, that's no longer there, so it'll like clear itself. Or you can clear it with like a scan tool. Doesn't happen all the time, so I'm not 100% sure there what happens sometimes, not like others, but just like a word of warning just in case you see that. Now this little part of the video is like just for people who are putting in our aftermarket reverse camera. Obviously mounts like that, so you can mount it. Majority of people sort of like put it above the number plate where the factory one normally is, or you can put it next to your plug, your trailer plug on your tow ball. Coming out here we've got 2 plugs. One's like a DC one, so that has to go into power from the reverse lights. The 2 options there, if you have like a trailer plug installed, just like tap into your reverse lights of your trailer plug. Otherwise you have to go into your reverse lights. We do include one of these SPL connectors, so this just like allows you to strip the end of the wires, so you can take a negative and a positive, and I tuck it in there, and then gives you 2 outputs for each one, so you can just straight cut those reverse light negative and positive, and put like these in, and then like obviously like wrap this up tight and like duct tape. We do include in like a future ones, we actually have a waterproof sort of snap case for it, but didn't have that in this kit at the moment. So this is the DC plug here. Obviously that's going to go to your reverse light power, positive and negative, obviously red and black. Then the other end here, the one with the green one, does not plug into the camera. This plugs into the back of the head unit. This one plugs into the camera. Now this green wire shouldn't be like needed in these like VW Amaroks, because you should be pulling the reverse trigger from the CAN system. So I put the car in reverse. If the screen does change, it's picking up the reverse signal, so that's all good. I'm not, maybe some of the earlier base models you might not have that system, but I think they all have them. If you don't, this one here, a green one, hooks into our orange and black reverse in on our main 20 pin harness, and we do include a small black Scotch connector plug here just to put those together, so that makes it pretty easy for you. So that again, that's just for people who are putting in our reverse camera. And again, I do the whole test like we just did. I run the cable like around the outside of the car to start with, and just like make sure it's all working, and like plug it into here and just like power it up. So it's going to plug into like the purple a cam in one, and then like once you've confirmed it's all working, then you can like sort of run it along the car. So normally we run the cable along up above the chassis rail, like zip tied on, and then I pop it up for like a grommet. There's like grommets underneath the car, underneath the seats normally, all the way through to the firewall. It's up to you, you can choose where you run it through. And that's what you do. That's all for the aftermarket camera. So if you have the factory camera, don't worry about that. So on some models you do have a factory USB. This one doesn't have it, but we include the USB retention cable. It's like a circle 4-pin one. That'll like a plug in, and then the other end of that you'll just plug into our into one of our USB ports here. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so this model doesn't have it, but it'll be the opposite plug of that on the car side. It like plugs in, and then plug one of those into our one here, and you can keep your factory USB port. This car doesn't have it, so that's fine if I worry about it. So we've got, this doesn't even have auxiliary, factory auxiliary, so it's pretty straightforward. Now the USBs, you can choose where to like run them. Hopefully in like the future we might be able to get a panel switch for the top or down by the gearbox here, so we can have the panel switch with the two USBs in it. But for now, you want to like run these obviously somewhere we can get to them. So I guess your choices are down to the passenger kick side or glove box, or down to the driver's side. So I'm going to tuck one down each side, and so you have two going on. So that's going to be fine. One of them is, one of them should be labelled Android Auto, and the other one will be labelled 3G USB. So two USBs I've just tucked straight down there. Very easy in these cars. I tucked them up under here, and you can see they're just sitting in here. So you can plug your charge cables into them or whatever, or get access to update the unit if you need to, and they're out of the way. That's that all done. Our third USB, I normally just plug into the back of the head unit and leave it floating out the back. Mainly handy for if you using one of our dash cams or 4G routers. Gives you an extra USB port. So plug that in there, leave it all tied up, fairly easy. Again with the Wi-Fi antenna, this just extends the Wi-Fi signal, just in case future use if we include some different options. So that screws into a Wi-Fi plug here, says Wi-Fi above it. Don't put it into the GPS one, it won't matter, but you won't get very good signal on GPS or Wi-Fi. So screw that up hand tight. That can just stay tied up and float around the back. Then we've got the GPS. Again, just needs a clear view of the sky. So normally that's pretty easy on this one. I normally just see in there where you can go to. It's pretty solid. Once you're in here, so you can just mount it up on top here, on top of this plastic bit, and that's going to give you a clear view of the sky. Unless you throw metal objects on here all the time, then you might want to try and just get it a bit further out into the dash. So that's your GPS. Two options for GPS. So I have a stick pad on the back, or there'll be a magnet like this one. So in some cases you can just magnet it straight onto the top of the back of the steel part of the head unit. Not ideal in this case like that. Obviously just don't block any of the ventilation holes. Not ideal in this case, as you can't it'll move when we try and push it in, 'cause it's too tight. So it comes with some stick. So you put the stick on, otherwise it'll be a straight stick one and you just peel it off. So again, you can just put this up where you're going to put it. So we're going to put it up here and stick it down. Obviously run the cable so you have it sticking out. That's everything. So these installs are pretty straightforward. You can tape the wires up a bit, but not super need to on this one, as they are fairly cruisy. No super need really to do heaps of taping in this case, because it's all pretty tidy. If you did have the auxiliaries and you want to keep the auxiliary port, it goes into our brown plug with the red and white one on it. Some people do still use that, but obviously in this day and age of Spotify and everything, and you got Apple CarPlay and stuff all going on your phone, not really needed. So we can just tape it up a little bit to tidy it up. The rest is going to float down the back pretty happily. That's going to go on that side, that's going to go into there. I think it looks pretty good. I'll grab the head unit and we'll plug in all our things. So a reverse camera into our reverse camera in plug, into that one like we did when we tested it. Purple one, if you want to use that second camera that came in the kit, if you had the factory camera and it comes with a 1081, you can actually put it into like the a front cam, so you can give yourself like a front cam if you want to make like a use of it. It's going to go into there, radio into there, GPS into our GPS. Again, just make sure to do these up hand tight, but give them a good twist. So definitely up. USB plugs into the USB plugs one. So down the bottom here, under the pink purpley one. That's basically everything. And then we've got our obviously our main plug too. You can like stick this on somewhere if you want, don't have to, up to you. Ideally everything's just going to drop down and sit below the head unit, all these plugs, when they all go in. Main plug in there. Alrighty, then we just come in here and we go tuck, tuck, tuck. They all should drop down nicely behind the head unit, sort of below it. There's a steel bar down there, you'll see where it all drops in. And then just push the head unit backwards. Plenty of room for this one, so it's a pretty easy install, which is always nice. Line it all up. That's basically it in. Again, what we'll do is we can power the unit up and like test everything again. I'll make sure it's all good, and then we can go and put the things back on it. So obviously we have our 4 little short torque screws that have to go back in to hold it in place. Yeah, we'll grab our fascia. The plugs drop down under here and pull them through. They go back in where they go into. Color coded, so again you can't go wrong. And then we'll just leave that sitting here and we'll just quickly do our tests. So put the keys in the car and I'll run our few tests. So turn the car to ACC. You can for the tests, even I would suggest like start the car. This install is like easy, so that's why I put everything sort of back in before I tested it. You won't see that like boot screen every time. It's just because of taking out the plug. That's cool. You see like seeing like the doors are open. So again, we'll just check a few things, scan the radio, check we have sound coming through, and that our steering wheel controls are like working, so that's fine. Obviously you got these buttons down here as well. Check we have our reverse camera and our sensors. So that reverse camera again, and we'll do it with like the tailgate up now, so you can see what's going on there. A much bigger, easier to see screen. You can obviously adjust the brightness on here if you touch and hold the screen. Again, because the camera's like old, on a worse sort of quality than like factory cars, and it's on a bigger screen, it doesn't look as good quality. If you're using a factory 1081, it will look pretty crystal clear. So that's all working. Steering wheel controls are like working. We've got sound and stuff. That's all good. That's basically all the tests you need to do. You can go and push this back in and put it all back together. So when you push it back in, give it a few good pushes and it will clip in. You will hear it clip in when it clips in properly. So you need to go, sometimes you need to go a bit good pushes on here and here, and that's all perfect. Now obviously don't forget this here at the top. No, don't do this yet, sorry. We need to put our screws back in. So your two caps go on, and there you go, all done. A good work on installing your hitch unit. First thing people normally do that is like set up Apple CarPlay and stuff. We have other videos showing you how to do that and whatnot.